You check your accounts on a quiet Sunday morning. Your home is worth $200,000 more than when you bought it. Your retirement portfolio has climbed steadily, compounding year after year. Maybe you have index funds, maybe a rental property, maybe both. On paper, your net worth has never been higher. You have done what you were supposed to do. You saved, you invested, you avoided reckless spending. By most measures, you are financially successful. And then something happens. Not a catastrophe, just life. A medical bill arrives that insurance only partially covers. Your car breaks down in a way that cannot be patched anymore. Or maybe your employer announces restructuring, and suddenly your department feels uncertain. The problem is not enormous. It is manageable. But when you sit down to figure out how to handle it, you feel something unexpected. Pressure. Tightness. A kind of financial vertigo that does not match what your account balances say you should feel. You are wealthier than you have ever been. And yet, you are not sure where the money would actually come from. This is not a rare experience. It is not a sign of poor planning or financial irresponsibility. It is the quiet contradiction that sits at the center of many people's financial lives. You can become richer without becoming more financially flexible. You can build wealth that exists, that is real, that grows every year, and still find yourself unable to easily access it when the texture of your life changes unexpectedly. The number goes up, but the room to breathe does not. The mechanism is straightforward once you see it. Most wealth accumulation happens in forms that are designed to be untouchable. Your home equity grows, but you cannot pay a hospital bill with the appreciated value of your kitchen. You would need to sell, or borrow against it, or wait. Your retirement account compounds beautifully, but withdrawing from it early means penalties, taxes, and the psychological weight of dismantling something you have been told never to touch. Your brokerage account holds investments that have grown, but selling them during a period of personal disruption might mean selling during a market downturn, locking in losses, or triggering capital gains taxes that add complexity exactly when you want simplicity. All of this wealth is real. It counts. It matters. But it exists in a form that assumes your life will remain stable while it grows. It is wealth designed for a future version of you, not for the version of you facing something difficult right now. There are concepts that sound similar, but mean very different things. Net worth is the total value of everything you own minus everything you owe. Liquidity is how quickly and easily you can turn assets into usable money without losing value. Financial flexibility is your ability to adapt when circumstances change. Recovery ability is how well your financial structure can absorb disruption and return to equilibrium. Most people treat these as the same thing. They are not. You can have a high net worth and low liquidity. You can appear secure and have almost no recovery ability. A person with a paid-off home, a healthy retirement account, and very little cash might look financially successful in a spreadsheet, but if they lose their income, they are structurally fragile. They own valuable things, but those things do not help them buy time, make choices, or move through uncertainty without panic. Modern financial culture is designed to guide people toward accumulation. The advice is consistent. Buy a home. Max out your retirement contributions. Invest in index funds. Let compound interest work for you. All of this is sound. All of it can genuinely build wealth over decades. But the system is optimized for growth under stable conditions. It assumes you will keep earning. It assumes markets will be there when you finally need the money. It assumes nothing will require you to access your wealth in the meantime. And so people build financial lives that look impressive but feel precarious. The assets appreciate, the net worth climbs, and alongside it grows a kind of anxiety that does not make sense on paper. Because the wealth is there, but it is behind glass. You can see it. You can watch it grow. But the moment you need it, you have to break something to get to it. The psychology of this is more complicated than the math. Watching your accounts grow feels good. It creates a sense of progress, of doing things right. There is comfort in seeing numbers increase, in knowing you are wealthier this year than last year. That feeling is not fake, but it can obscure a deeper question. What is this wealth actually for, and when will it be usable? People develop an identity around being financially responsible. They follow the rules. They do not spend recklessly. They invest for the future. And because they have done everything correctly, they assume they are protected. But protection and flexibility are not the same. A castle is protected. It is also immobile. There is also a deep fear of touching investments. This fear is reinforced constantly. Do not sell. Do not withdraw early. Do not interrupt the compounding. Let it grow. The message is so strong that even when life demands adaptation, people hesitate. They feel guilty. They wonder if accessing their own money is a failure, a sign they were not disciplined enough, not prepared enough, not good enough at planning. And so they absorb stress in other ways. They borrow. They stretch. They tighten. They do not want to be the person who had to dip into their retirement account, even if that account exists, in theory, to support their life. History has shown this pattern before. During periods of economic stress, the gap between paper wealth and functional resilience becomes visible. In downturns, people discover that their home equity does not pay bills. In recessions, they find that their investment accounts have fallen in value exactly when they need them most. The wealth was real, but its availability was conditional. It worked perfectly in good times, and it became inaccessible or diminished in bad ones. What appeared to be security was, in part, an artifact of continuity. There are common mistakes embedded in how people think about this. The first is over-prioritizing asset growth while ignoring liquidity. A person might put every spare dollar into investments or extra mortgage payments, optimizing for net worth, while keeping almost nothing in cash. On paper, this looks disciplined. In practice, it creates brittleness. If anything disrupts their income, they have no cushion, no room to make decisions slowly, no ability to wait out a problem. The second mistake is assuming that a high net worth automatically reduces risk. It does not. Risk is not only about what you own, it is about what you owe, what you need, and how quickly your situation can change. A person with $1 million net worth, but high fixed costs, low liquidity, and a single income source can be more financially fragile than someone with $100,000 in accessible savings and low obligations. The structure matters more than the number. The third mistake is structuring your entire life around appreciating assets. People buy as much house as they can afford, assuming appreciation will validate the decision. They maximize retirement contributions, assuming the distant future is the only version of the future that matters. They treat every dollar as something to deploy for growth, rather than something to hold for optionality. This creates a life where everything is optimized for the long term, and nothing is available for the medium term. And it is the medium term, the next 6 months to 3 years, where most real-world financial stress actually occurs. There are smarter ways to think about this. The first shift is to start thinking in terms of financial recovery ability. Not just whether you are building wealth, but whether your financial structure can absorb a shock and return to normal without catastrophic consequences. This means asking uncomfortable questions. If you lost your income tomorrow, how long could you sustain your life without selling assets at a loss or taking on debt? If something broke, got sick, or changed, What would you actually do? If the answer involves hope, luck, or avoiding the question, your structure might be more fragile than your net worth suggests. The second shift is maintaining liquidity alongside asset accumulation. This does not mean avoiding investments. It means keeping a portion of your wealth in boring, accessible, liquid form. Cash, a high-yield savings account. Something you can touch without penalty, without market risk, without complexity. This will not maximize your returns. It will maximize your options. And options, during uncertainty, are worth more than another percentage point of growth. The third shift is prioritizing flexibility and optionality, not just net worth growth. Flexibility means structuring your financial life so that you can adapt without breaking things. It means keeping fixed costs manageable. It means not stretching to the edge of what you can afford, even if you could technically manage it. It means recognizing that the ability to say no, to wait, to pivot, to absorb disruption without panic is itself a form of wealth. It does not show up on a balance sheet, but it changes how you move through the world. None of this means abandoning long-term investing. Owning assets, building equity, contributing to retirement accounts, all of this can genuinely build security and wealth over time. Compound growth is real. Appreciation is real. The value of owning rather than renting, of investing rather than spending, these are not illusions, but they work best when they are balanced with liquidity and structured around manageable obligations. A person who owns a home they can afford, invests consistently, and also maintains accessible savings is genuinely more secure than someone who only does one of those things. The problem is not the assets. The problem is the assumption that assets alone are enough. The realization, when it comes, is both clarifying and unsettling. True financial strength is not only about what you own. It is also about what your financial structure allows you to do when life becomes uncertain. It is about whether your wealth is working for the life you are actually living, or whether you are working to protect wealth that exists only in theory. It is about whether the numbers that are supposed to make you feel secure actually give you the ability to make choices, absorb disruption, and move through change without feeling trapped. You can be richer and still not feel safe. You can do everything right and still feel pressure. Not because you failed, but because the system you followed was optimized for accumulation, not resilience. And resilience, it turns out, is what you need most when the conditions that allowed your wealth to grow quietly begin to shift. The accounts still show the same numbers. The house is still worth what it was worth. But the gap between what you own and what you can actually do becomes suddenly, uncomfortably visible. And in that gap lives a question most people spend years avoiding. Is your wealth actually yours to use? Or are you just holding it for a future that may never arrive the way you imagined?